Welcome to Orioles Digest. I'm your host, Kam Brice. And before you do anything, hit that subscribe button. If you're a part of this percentage, let's change that today. Come join Orioles Digest. I'm giving you daily updates about the Baltimore Orioles that you don't want to miss. Now, today was the arbitration deadline for the Baltimore Orioles and the MLB. So many moves were made. And in this video, we'll be talking about which players receive arbitration signings and what it means for the future of the Baltimore Orioles. So, I posted on Twitter earlier. And if you don't follow my Twitter, make sure you follow at Kam Brice 1TV. I post daily updates about the Baltimore Orioles. I give a lot of hot takes that people don't agree with, but come join the conversation. I love to talk baseball with all you guys. So let's take a look at some of the arbitration deals the Baltimore Orioles got done today. Now we're going to start with Cedric Mullins. The Baltimore Orioles and Cedric Mullins agreed to an $8.72 million contract for the 2025 season. Ryan Mountcastle, $6.78 million. Adley Rutschman, $5.5 million. Dean Kramer, $2.95 million. Trevor Rogers, $2.6 million. And Kam Brice, $2.35 million. Now, for the people who have no idea what arbitration is, I'll explain it a little bit for you guys. Players that are not on long-term contracts will have arbitration deals every single year to determine what their salary is the next season. And the franchise holds most of the salary and they can demand what that player should be at their value. But the players sometimes will go through arbitration stages if they don't think they earned enough money for the next season. I think this is the right estimate for all these guys. Kam Brice obviously is not getting enough because wasn't healthy last year. Cedric Mullins is obviously a veteran, so he'll get a lot of money. Same with Ryan Mountcastle. Adley Rutschman is sitting in the middle. Don't know if an extension will be coming soon. I hope an extension with Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson will be coming soon. Now, I don't know if Adley Rutschman will get an extension soon. I have no idea what's going to happen with him and Gunnar Henderson. But if you check out my last video, we talked a little bit about him and Gunnar Henderson and what their future could hold for the Baltimore Orioles. Now, it's one person on this list that has not been mentioned that a lot of people are very concerned with. Matt Wyrich from the Baltimore Sun said, the Orioles and infielder Jorge Mateo did not reach an agreement ahead of today's arbitration deadline and will exchange figures per source. If you're wondering, will Jorge Mateo be back in 2025? Yes, it will be back. He already has a guaranteed contract for 2025. This is just figuring out the salary for that next year, and I'm pretty sure the Baltimore Orioles will get a way around this. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how all these players are going to pan out because we've seen the Baltimore, Seattle Mariners, San Diego Padres have been in trade talks for Dylan Cease and Luis Castillo. So how does arbitration affect any of these players who could possibly be involved in that trade package? How does arbitration affect a trade scenario involving Ryan Mountcastle or Dean Kramer? So we're going to start out with Ryan Mountcastle. And let me get one thing clear. Arbitration does not clear any of these players from a trade. They can get traded. These are not guaranteed contracts with the team. They can still be moved. It's just their salary for the next season. So the Seattle Mariners still want to get Ryan Mountcastle. They don't have to worry about money because it's just the salary for next season, and you're basically getting a player who's undervalued for his contract. Now, I still think the Baltimores could possibly move Ryan Mountcastle. Kobe Mayo, Ryan O'Hearn, you have different types of outlets you can put at first base. But if the Baltimore Orioles want to win a World Series this year, my only question is, do you move a guy like Ryan Mountcastle? I know he's going to be a free agent in a couple years, so it's starting to be like, do the Baltimore Orioles want to trade him now or wait to the trade deadline when his price is at the higher when he's playing like an all-star? I've had many views on Ryan Mountcastle. I wanted the Orioles to trade him, then I backed off, and I didn't want the Orioles to trade him. Now I'm kind of uneven. And if the Baltimore Orioles are going to trade Ryan Mountcastle, they have to have a backup plan. And I don't think Kobe Mayo is ready to be an everyday first baseman. So that puts Ryan O'Hearn into an everyday first baseman position. Well, you're losing a lot of power, you're losing a lot of hits, home runs from Ryan Mountcastle, but you can get a guy like Luis Castillo or Dylan Cease. Now, I would say If you're going to involve Ryan Mountcastle in a trade package, it has to be for Dylan Cease, and that's the only guy that you trade. Now, Dean Kramer is an interesting one because not a lot of people thought that the Orioles could possibly move on from him. But now signing Charlie Morton and Sagano is kind of stacking this rotation. And if you acquire a pitcher like Dylan Cease or Luis Castillo, one guy has to be out. And it won't be K. Pavich. Even though K. Pavich is projected not to be in the starting rotation, the Orioles will find ways to put him in that starting rotation in the beginning of the season or probably in the late end of the season. He's a guy that you can't move on from. And if you're thinking trade K. Pavich for one of those guys, no way. He's the best pitching prospect you got outside of Chase McDermott, and he's the only guy that you can see for the future that has ace potential. Now, Dean Kramer is a guy that I've said in multiple videos. You can move on from hurting your team. Kramer has had a 4 ERA throughout his whole career. He's been a consistent guy. He's been a guy who rely on, but he's not better than the 4 or 5 starter in most MLB rotations. Now, first base is the only position that I'm unsure because the Baltimore Orioles could trade Ryan Mountcastle to a team like Seattle, but will Seattle be willing to give up Luis Castillo for Ryan Mountcastle and say Dylan Beavers? I don't think that's enough. And for the Baltimore Orioles, you don't want to give that much up for a guy who's declining every single year, and especially he's making over $24 million a year. This was a short video. I know not a lot of news about the Baltimore Orioles, but we got to talk about the arbitration. I showed you guys who got their salaries for the 2025 season, the future implications on the Orioles, who could possibly be involved in the trade. And if you want to see more, check out my past videos. Talk about Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson. We talk about different trade scenarios with Luis Castillo and Dylan Cease. But hit that subscribe button. Come join the family because I'm giving you daily updates about the Baltimore Orioles that you don't want to miss.